Now, despite meowing cats and chirping birds and demanding dogs, we are bringing the next episode of the Running Hare to you. I'm actually about to move the frame, and I wanted to show you how I do that without injuring my hands, because your hands obviously are the most important thing when you're stitching. So I've, for example, if I had finished this area, which I promise I will, then I would want to move my frame, and so I'm just going to remove the needles that I had over here, or your scissor keeper or your net thread keeper, and then just unwind this. And then I'm going to take my thumbs and I'm going to just go round the edge, just two thumbs together. Never try and remove a frame like that, or just by yanking it across, because you can't really lift one end on its own if it's really tight, but you can quite easily just use the cling film or saran wrap, or whatever you're using, plastic, clear plastic that we use to mount our frames, and it just naturally, look how easy that is. This was really drum tight and it's rolling away very nicely. So now I'm going to remount my frame because my next stitch is calling me, and I'm going to just discard this because this has actually been used for another design and it's finished. So I'm afraid that has to be recycled. So what I want to do next is some laden couch work on these two areas. Now I like to work in the top 2/3 of my frame, and the lower area I leave to another time. So for this, I would take my design right to the edge here, put that on, and that's where I'd work actually there, so that I can actually see that, or even half of it. It's absolutely fine. So I want to stitch this area next and this one. Maybe I would actually have a bigger frame, Richard. I think I might go for the 10-inch, but never mind. For this one on here, I'm absolutely fine, and I'm placing the area I'm going to work, and I'm going to put it up here. So I can work the background here, because actually, although I'll need to work these stems before this shading here, this laden couch work is always background, so it's always a stitch you can do first, wherever it is in my instructions. So what I'm wanting to do next is to take this out of the base frame here, leave the paddle, we'll be needing that in a minute. Now, the most important thing is to fold this stalk down. So fold it down so that when you press it down, you're not going to get it in your face and slip. And then I'm just going to move my stitch chart out of the way and put my gorgeous saran wrap. Now this is new, but this I will use and use and use and use. And my friend Harriet Roberts carried this all the way from Memphis for me about 3 years ago. So you can see that actually you can reuse it and you don't need masses. So I'm looking at the area where I'm going to stitch, and I'm going to place that about 2/3 of the way up the area of the frame. So first thing I did was to put the outer frame down with the screw towards my belly, put the design at the top area of the frame, and then just gather that in and flip it over and make sure you can see it. So I'm very happy with that. Then take your inner frame. Now, because this isn't going over a stitched area, I'll be able to use it without loosening the outer frame that went on the table first. But if you have been stitching, then just take the screw round the edge of the outer frame and just untwist it a couple of times, hopefully with a screwdriver. Now, I like my frame really, really tight. So actually this outer frame is very tight round this one. It just holds nicely. So I'm just going to stand above it, and I'm actually going to, because I haven't got a friend to hold the other side, this paddle is going to be 2 hands and this one another hand. So I can actually just keep it all level and just squash it down at the same time. Now I used to do this with my foot and along lots and lots of embroidery groups that I used to go around teaching, but actually one day one of the lovely ladies that I was teaching said, why don't you use the paddle? It looks like a foot. So of course we all learn a huge amount from each other, and I would love you to send me in any hints and tips, because this is the time to share. Right, Now, I know, I can see that that's pretty firm, and I'm just going to pop that back in, adjust the height. I always adjust the height quite a lot. I don't like to stitch into my belly, but if I'm on my soft chair, I might have this a little bit lower. Sometimes I rest my arm on a cushion. Just make sure that you are comfortable first before you bring your needlework to use. So I'm going to just sit like I'm sitting on a horse, put that paddle at an angle underneath my leg, and I'm ready to stitch with a lovely tight frame.